The Mandalorian was probably one of the best things to happen in Star Wars in 2019. Baby Yoda stole everyone's heart, and the way that the season ended left a huge cliffhanger, which has a lot of people looking forward to season 2 of The Mandalorian. So in this video, I want to talk about some new news that has come out regarding season 2 of The Mandalorian. So stay tuned. What's up, Star Wars fans? My name is Prince, and I'm an urban acolyte. We're talking about The Mandalorian Season 2 in this video, and we're going to be talking about Moff Gideon and the actor who played Moff Gideon, Giancarlo Esposito. Now, before I jump into the juicy bits of this video, I just want to let you guys know that I have started a series on Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's something that I wanted to do for years. I call it the Star Wars Old Republic Project. Right now, I'm making kind of a machinima series of the Jedi Knight story in Star Wars Old Republic. And part of the reason I'm doing that is because a lot of stuff from the Old Republic was made canon in the Rise of Skywalker and some of the books that have led up to the Rise of Skywalker. I probably need to do a whole separate video on that, but if you didn't know it, it's looking like Darth Vitiate, Emperor Vitiate, whatever you want to call him, the Immortal Emperor, might be canon. So I'm going to have to do a separate video on that, because this one is about The Mandalorian Season 2. All right, so Giancarlo Esposito was on the Television Critics Association panel for Season 5 of Better Call Saul. Now, after that panel, Film spoke with him about his role in Season 2 of The Mandalorian. The first comment that he made was that his role is growing. He went on to say that regarding the Mandalorian series, that it's been exciting to be part of that project because of the iconic nature of it, but even more so because it has returned me to the Star Wars that I loved. I saw the first few movies and dropped away because it became more and more in a different vein than what I wanted to be in. But this is the true space western. It gives you room and space, and each one is a little bit of a film. So you're able to tell a story visually, and it returns to the original guts of mythology, based deeply rooted in Joseph Campbell's mythology, which George Lucas was so fond of, and which is why he was inclusive of what mythology in Star Wars. So I'm pleased to be a part of that. Now, Moff Gideon's the character, I know I didn't post a review of the final episode in Season 1 of The Mandalorian. That was right around New Year's. We had just come back from Malaysia, and then we had family in town for New Year's, and I never got to do that video. So I guess I kind of owe y'all that, but it's kind of late to be doing it. So consider this part of what I would have said had I gotten a chance to review Season 2. All right, so we finally got introduced to Moff Gideon, and it turns out that he's the big bad who was pulling all of the strings in Season 1. He's the person in the Empire who sent the client to place the job for Baby Yoda. Now, what Moff Gideon wants with Baby Yoda, it's still yet to be seen. That's the bigger story that's unfolding, right? But what we learn about Moff Gideon is that it comes from DJ, is that he was an ISB agent working for the Empire around the whole Mandalorian Civil War. Now, this goes all the way back to the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. The Mandalorian Civil War begins in the Clone Wars when Darth Maul and his brother Savage Opress join Death Watch, and they end up sparking that whole thing off, which results in Darth Maul becoming a Mandalore, right? He's the ruler of Mandalore for a short time. We're going to see in the final season of the Clone Wars how he fell from power during the Siege of Mandalore, which was led by Ahsoka Tano, Rex, and you know, the clone troopers. Order 66 goes down, and Maul and Ahsoka both have to flee. We got bits of, well, we got that story in the Ahsoka Tano novel when she talks about how she survived Order 66 and how she went on the run and eventually how she becomes a Fulcrum, right? And we're going to see it, like I said, in the finale of the Clone Wars. Now, Maul, we know what happened. Well, we kind of know what happened with him as he set up his crime syndicate there from Dathomir. We saw that in the Solo movie. Maybe we'll see that story played out as well, probably on Disney Plus. Make Solo 2 happen. Hashtag that, right? But as for Mandalore, it picks up again. The Mandalorian Civil War picks up again in Star Wars Rebels. Sabine Wren finds the Darksaber there on Dathomir. She has it for a short time, and then it goes back into the hands of a Death Watch successor, should we say, right? Duchess Satine cries, her sister Bo-Katan cries, and the leader of the Night Owls, right? She takes it and leads the Mandalorian Civil War. And up until the Mandalorian dropped, we assumed that they were successful, but it sounds like that they were crushed. Somehow Moff Gideon ends up with the Darksaber. We see that as he cuts himself out of that TIE fighter at the conclusion of the Mandalorian Season 1. And so now that's the big question, right? The Mandalorian has become a lot more interesting. It started off, here's this spaghetti western about a Mandalorian, a lone gunfighter. And in my breakdowns, if you haven't seen them, you should watch them. I came into every review, every episode with 3 questions, right? How does this build on the Mandalorian's character, his story? And in the process of learning his story, what are we learning about Mandalorian culture? What does this have to do with Baby Yoda, his story, what's going on, what's the relationship between Baby Yoda and DJ? And then 3, what is the bigger story here? So, in true Star Wars fashion, if you go back and you watch these shows that have come out since actually the Clone Wars started out that way too, where it was like these individual stories. How do they all come together? It's like the first season is here's these stories and we're just trying to get you to buy in, right? And you really got to jump into season 2 when everything kind of comes together, and now here's the bigger narrative. Yeah, there's still going to be these little, some people call them fillers. They're little side stories that build on the bigger narrative, but then you have the bigger narrative that moves the whole thing forward, right? We saw that with Star Wars Rebels, where Star Wars Rebels, people had trouble buying in season 1, right? But those individual stories eventually form a bigger narrative, right? This is about Lothal, right? This is about Ezra Bridger becoming the Jedi that he needs to be to free Lothal, which finally happens in the finale, right? The Mandalorian, right? We got to introduce this character. We got to introduce these side characters, right? He's got to build his team, his family, right? We got to introduce these little things, these little stories, and then boom, here's the bigger narrative. The bigger narrative is something happened on Mandalore, right? And this, and then there's something involving the Empire, and this dude who has all the keys to all of the secrets to everything is the big bad guy that now we've got to learn his story, and how does he, what part does he play in all these other events from all these other parts of Star Wars? How does that all come together? Who is this hero, and how does, and ultimately what is his journey, and what is the story? What's going to happen here, right? Where are they going with this Baby Yoda character? What does this have to do with in relation to the Force, and what new things could this introduce to Star Wars, right? So season 2, The Mandalorian, there's a lot happening here. If you haven't checked it out, if you haven't tuned in, you really should start, right? Based on the comments that Giancarlo Esposito has made, Moff Gideon is going to be a big part in season 2 in the narrative that we are getting in season 2 as we move this story forward. And I'm looking forward to seeing where we're going to go. And, I think everybody wants to see more Baby Yoda. I'm going to start calling Baby DJ, right? Little Baby DJ. So that's all I really got to say for this. But since I didn't do a review video of the finale of The Mandalorian, I'll ask the question that I wanted to ask in that video. I'll ask it here. What were your favorite things about season 1 of The Mandalorian, and what are you most looking forward to seeing in season 2? So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll be checking back to see what you all have to say. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click that subscribe button so that you can take your first steps towards becoming an urban acolyte. Embark on the journey of becoming the hero of your own story and become a force for change in your community. Be sure to check out the Star Wars Old Republic project that I'm working on. I've really wanted to do this series actually since Star Wars Old Republic first came out, and I started playing closed beta, open beta, release day. So that's almost 10 years I've wanted to do a big series on the Old Republic. So please check that out, support those videos, and share them with your friends of the Old Republic, and because it's going to get exciting once the story gets moving a little bit further. Once we get off Tython, it gets interesting, I promise. Also, did you guys know that Tython is canon now? It is. I have to do a video on it. But anyway, that's all I got for this one, so thanks for hanging out. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with you always.